Worried about gout? Check out Ural, the effective urinary alkalinizer for gout.
Good evening, I'm Prasad and this is KiniNews. Anwar Ibrahim has told us many times that Harapan would be willing to talk to those in line with their principles. So why hasn't Harapan held formal talks with Muda to negotiate seats? As frustration grows at Muda, they're considering going solo in G15. We all know how well that goes. Ask PSM. It's a day before the Election Commission announces the G15 timetable, and there's still no progress in seat negotiations between Muda and Harapan. This is despite both sides already agreeing to form an electoral pact. A well-placed source from Muda told Malaysiakini that there is still no official discussion between Muda and Harapan to date. This was also confirmed by Muda Deputy President Amira Aisya Abd Aziz in a statement today. Amira vented frustrations over seat negotiations and demanded that Harapan sit down with them soon. It is understood that thus far, the only constituency confirmed for Muda is Party President Syed Saddiq's Muar seat. This is based on the agreement with Harapan, where both sides would not contest in incumbent seats. Amira revealed that the two other agreements are to support Harapan's Prime Minister candidate and that Muda needs the Harapan Presidential Council's approval if it wants to engage other parties. For the Muda source, time is running out for seat negotiations. The source said the delay is unfair to Muda as they also need time to prepare for the election. The source added that the party has started to consider going solo as they could not wait any longer. The source also revealed that Muda is only requesting 6 to 7 parliamentary seats for this round. Tajuddin Abdul Rahman may have had a lot to say about Zahid's leadership in the past, but the reality is Zahid is still the boss in Umno. So as G15 approaches, Tajuddin has gone from criticizing Zahid to trying to kiss his hand. Incumbent Pasir Salak MP Tajuddin Abdul Rahman may have been suspended from Umno. However, that did not stop him from attending a party event in Bagan Datuk on Monday. The event featured Party President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and Vice President Ismail Sabri Yaakob. The former Umno election director was seen shaking hands and being friendly with Zahid. Tajuddin was also seen trying to kiss Zahid's hand. However, Zahid quickly pulled it back. Earlier this month, Tajuddin's Umno membership was suspended for 6 years over his open criticism of the party and Zahid. Aside from Tajuddin, Al-Usta Umno chief Muhammad Yusuf Ismail was also suspended for 6 years, while blogger Zaharin Muhammad Yassin was sacked. Zahid said the suspension and sacking were the party leader's collective decision against negative elements that tried to tarnish or defame the Umno leadership. Tajuddin meanwhile brushed off his suspension by saying it was not a death sentence. For the record, Tajuddin was removed from the Umno Supreme Council in June for calling Zahid a liability and demanding his resignation from the top post. A month later, he was dropped as Malaysia's named ambassador to Indonesia. Ismail Sabri Yaakob has clarified that he was joking when he said he should have sacked all 12 PN ministers. However, some have taken his remarks to heart. Abdul Latif Ahmad, a member of the caretaker cabinet, has challenged Ismail Sabri Yaakob to sack him. The Bersatu's incumbent Mersing MP was appointed by Ismail Sabri in 2021 as a Minister of Special Functions. In a statement, Latif said Bersatu lawmakers are still members of the caretaker cabinet and it's not too late to sack them. Latif added that perhaps the 9th Prime Minister can create history by sacking a cabinet member during injury time. This was in response to Ismail Sabri jokingly stating that he should have sacked the 12 cabinet members who petitioned the Yang di-Pertuan Agong to protest against dissolving parliament this year. At the time, Ismail Sabri also claimed that he had twice informed his cabinet of his intention to dissolve parliament. Latif disputed Ismail Sabri's version of events while stating that during the last cabinet meeting on October 7th, the Premier did not respond to a minister's query on when an election would be held. Apparently in politics, switching sides after an election is normal, and of course, who knows this better than Hamzas Zainuddin, who left UMNO after it lost in G14. Perikatan National Secretary General Hamzas Zainuddin said switching political allegiance after a general election is normal. He told reporters in Kuantan Pahang yesterday that such a practice affected all parties. He said if BN is unsuccessful during the next general election, a lot of UMNO members will join them in Bersatu and PN. Hamzas was responding to UMNO Supreme Council member Hisham Jalil's prediction that PM will break up after the next general election. Hisham said Bersatu will lose many seats during this election and therefore PAS will ditch the party. He added that once PN is no more, it is likely that Bersatu will fade away the same way Semangat 46 did in the past. In December 2018, Hamzas and 6 other MPs left UMNO after citing unhappiness with UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's leadership. While we're all talking about the election, who's preparing for the floods? And if you're in Klang, Charles Santiago is, but what has happened to preparations there is worrying. Preparations to face the floods have been disrupted when Parliament was dissolved, according to incumbent Klang MP Charles Santiago. Klang has the highest number of areas that are at risk of floods in a district. Now its residents may not be ready to meet the challenges of another climate disaster this monsoon season. Charles repeated demands for the Election Commission to make clear its plans for the electorate should flooding occur on polling day have also been met with silence. According to Charles, among the preparations that were interrupted include a flood disaster simulation training for residents and rescuers. The training was the final stage of his 3-pronged flood action plan centered around capacity building for residents. Charles said the simulation was based on experiences during the chaos that ensued last year in Klang. Neighborhoods that had rarely or never been flooded were inundated with water. 30 residents' associations in Klang and 15 NGOs were to be trained by the Civil Defence Department before it was cancelled. UMNO's current direction needs to change, according to Musa Hitam, or the party could risk joining the G15 Losers Club. Former Deputy Prime Minister Musa Hitam is concerned that UMNO will not win the sufficient number of seats required to form the federal government. He also fears the party will be reduced to a minority after G15. Musa said this at a forum organized by the Association of Former UMNO Elected Representatives in Johor last night. According to Berita Harian, he urged UMNO members to steer the party in the right direction as it has drifted from the initial spirit of nationalism to the lust of materialism, wealth and individual interest. He added that the interests of the people are no longer prioritized as UMNO suffers from a leadership crisis like never before. Musa served as Deputy Prime Minister from 1981 to 1986 under Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. The former UMNO No. 2 also noted that all political parties have adopted a wait-and-see approach for G15 because none of them are confident about the outcome. Tomorrow is an important day because the EC is expected to hold a meeting and tell us when G15 will be held. Before that happens tomorrow, here's some background. The Election Commission will meet tomorrow to decide when Malaysians will vote in G15. G15 would give UMNO BN a chance to enter Putrajaya through the front door after being part of 2 backdoor administrations. The election is expected to be held early next month, and certain quarters are speculating that polling will be held on a weekday. This will be a shot in the arm for UMNO BN, which is banking on poor turnout of pro-opposition voters. Many voters were left disillusioned following the collapse of the Pakatan Harapan government. Within a short span of 22 months, this group of voters dream of a new nation turned into a nightmare due to infighting and defections. Compounding this, if polling does not fall on a weekend, this could also discourage people from returning to their hometowns to cast their ballots, especially amid torrential downpours and flooding. During GE14, polling was also held on a weekday, but it only motivated voters to come out in full force to show UMNO BN and former Premier Najib Abdul Razak the exit. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to Malaysiakini.com. I'm Prasad. Thank you for watching.